Shalom everybody, this is Nick Vanderlaan from Jerusalem. This is part 2 of the video series that I'm doing today on Shavuot. This video is about Shavuot and the Festival of the Covenants. In this video, I'm going to be going through my biblical anniversary spreadsheet and going through all of the events that happened on Shavuot and the day after and the day before. There's definitely significant events, so let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so Shavuot, the Festival of Covenants. So guys, there's definitely many events in here, as you can see on my biblical anniversary spreadsheet. And there's going to be a link to the spreadsheet in the description. And what I did was, guys, I put it just on this full screen so we can go through these a little bit better. There's not really a good way to format it like this, so I just put it on this full screen, and I definitely want to go over it. And this is almost chronological, I believe. You guys can go ahead and take a look at it for yourself, but it's important to understand the foundation for Shavuot and why this day is so significant, because of all of the anniversaries of the patriarchs and other biblical anniversaries that Elohim documented on his calendar. So guys, we're going to start off here. This is when El instituted the covenant with Noah after the flood. And the sign of the covenant, I believe the rainbow, was given on this day. I was thinking about the rainbow and the colors of the rainbow. All the colors of the spectrum are in the rainbow. And I thought that's very interesting to point out. And who else went with Noah? Shem, Ham, and Japheth, which is obviously the progenitors of the human race. And in those progenitors of the human race, we had the 70 nations that came out of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So just like the body of Messiah is made up of the 70 nations, was represented through the flood. The next event that I wanted to bring your attention was at Mamre, Abram, and he was still Abram at this time, he built an altar and sacrificed animals as El Shaddai instructed him. Okay, Yahweh appeared to him as El Shaddai, the mighty, Almighty El, Almighty God, Almighty El, and it was Yahweh who confirmed the covenant. He was the one who passed through the halves of the animals as a flame of fire. And so this was during this time, on this date, the 15th day of the 3rd month. It's recorded in Jubilees. Chapter 9. Also, Abram on this day offered first fruit offerings. The next event that happened chronologically on Shavuot was when Abram was celebrating the Feast of First Fruits, which is Shavuot, guys. Another name for Shavuot. This is the first fruits of the barley harvest and other fruits of this area. El Shaddai reappeared again to Abraham a second time. And I don't know if he made a new covenant or renewed the covenant that he had with them. You need to check it out in Jubilees. But I have here that he renewed the covenant. This is how I documented it with Abram. And it's the renewal of the covenant. Abram's name was changed to Abraham on this day. The covenant of circumcision was given as a sign to Abraham. We had of the Ruach HaKodesh. Sarah's name was changed to Sarah, from Sarai to Sarah. And also the promise was made to Abraham of his son being born in these days next year. Okay, that's all in Jubilees chapter 15. In chapter 16 of Jubilees, we see Sarah giving birth to Isaac on Shavuot, the 15th day of the 3rd month. Isaac was the son of promise, and it was fulfilled. We also see Jacob made a feast for Laban and made a covenant. Later we see Jacob making a feast and made a covenant with him in Jubilees chapter 29 on this day. Another covenant was made. This is the Festival of Covenants, guys. We are in a blood covenant with Yeshua HaMashiach, a new covenant, renewed covenant. It's the covenant. It's a promise that was made by Elohim, and he fulfills it. Okay? So Jacob made a feast for Laban on this date. We see, the next time we see it was Israel, which was Jacob's name. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Towards the end of his age, there was a famine during the land. Remember the land of his son Joseph, when Joseph was reigning in Egypt? And so he celebrated this Shavuot with old grain. This celebration should be done with new grain, with new barley. But he celebrated with old grain due to the drought. And Elohim appeared to him the following day, on the 16th day. And we're going to see in my next video that there's significant events that happened on the 16th day. Okay? As well as on this 15th day. And they're almost combined, I would say, that Shavuot is almost a 2-day festival with the appearances of Elohim and the promises that are made and kept on these days. So the next event that we see that happened, this is the second day that Moses, day 2, Moses on the 14th day of the month, Elohim instructed Moses to tell the Israelites to sanctify themselves and to wash their garments, because he was going to appear on the 3rd day from this first day. So this is day number 2 of the sanctification of the Israelites and washing their garments. Hint, hint, guys, this is something to pay attention to. And it was the next day after Shavuot that Yahweh came down on Mount Sinai and gave the 10 Commandments. And not only that, I believe it was early in that morning, that next day, or on the 17th, I believe it was late that morning, just before sunrise, about that time on the 16th day, that the children of Israel entered into a blood covenant with Yahweh. They agreed to do all that was written, and Moses sprinkled them with blood, and then Moses went back up and started his fast. Not only this, guys, the next time we see Shavuot, it's not mentioned here, but it's mentioned, but it's with Tobit. And you need to read the book of Tobit. I have the book of Tobit. I'm going to pull it up. But what Tobit was a very righteous man. The book of Tobit was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. There's, I believe that Tobit was an inspired work, but not my opinion. I'm going off of what the Essenes, who was the most righteous sect of the Israelites at the time of Yeshua, Elohim used to preserve his word through, to preserve the calendar through. I believe these were righteous men that were set apart. But anyways, getting back to it, what we have is the book of Tobit. And Tobit celebrated Pentecost. And Tobit did mighty works, did good works on this day. And he stopped his feast to go bury a dead body and to reverence the dead corpse, which is extremely a moral work. And we are so detached in our society to not even do that. At least I've been. And I'm just trying to get back to the understanding of the ways of Yah and having a heart as Yahweh had a heart, the ways of Yah. So anyways, that's very significant. And I encourage everybody to read the book of Tobit. I just came on it like about 2 weeks ago, and I strongly recommend it. I'm going to leave the PDF link in the description box. This is also a day that the apostles gathered themselves together in Jerusalem, and they received the Ruach HaKodesh. It was on Shavuot. Then Peter gave a message at 9 a.m. in the morning, and about 3,000 souls believed. Right somewhere back behind me here, that's what happened. And not only did they believe, but they were then mikvahd. They were baptized. They mikvahd and were baptized in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Okay? And then also, just important to note, Paul made it a huge priority in Acts chapter 20 to 21 of getting back for Shavuot. He passed by Ephesus, I believe, just to make sure he would make it back to Shavuot on time for his journey. And my guess, it was probably then when he was arrested on Shavuot for giving, and then he gave his account of his testimony to his brethren one last time before he was then taken off to Rome. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope you were blessed by this, and shalom.